Just a minute, people are coming. Okay, it's okay. Just a second here. Hello, people. How are you doing? Are you doing fine? Okay. If you want, you can. Kawen is replying. How you doing, man? Are you fine? And it's nice because you use the word normal. Normal can be Portuguese or English. It's a great one because just the pronunciation that change. Yeah, man. Uh, so what are you doing during this pandemic time? Tell me a little bit about you in these times. Are you learning something different? For example, I'm learning how to cook, and now I'm cooking. Oh, there's some crisis. Yeah, yeah. It's not easy. Nobody lived a situation like that before. But the thing is that you have always to try to do what is possible in the moment. So, for instance, I'm doing. I send you the link. I'm doing the extension project named Ludopedismo about football, about Brazilian football. So we can talk about football a little bit because it's also we are not having the championships here in Brazil. Just I guess Carioca, Flamengo and Bangu they had a match, but it didn't work out very well after that. So we have to watch Bundesliga, La Liga, Premier League. Anyways, uh, so let's talk a little bit about the group work for the first trimester. Okay. So first of all, I will talk about some things about the group work. If you have some questions, just hit the chat or open your microphone. I'll be replying. So first of all, um, I think in the third grade it didn't happen too much. But every time you produce a text, try to produce something that is different from your sources. So some passages or some texts they were pretty similar to the sources you research, and you have to do what we call the paraphrasing. So you read. This is why it's interesting for you to read more than one source, because if you read different sources, you can create a different point of view. So your own point of view. So this is essential these times. So to have an authorship, and for example, you are. I think you are studying for the NA, right? And NA nowadays, it's very related to the authorship. So write something that it's related to you. Of course, to talk about authorship in group work is not easy because people think differently, people act differently. I know it's not easy, but it's a challenge. And I think going after a challenge is always a good way to deal with it. Not run from them, but try to deal with them. The other thing about the text structure. So I ask you to put in 30 lines, 4 paragraphs. It is also the structure for the name. Of course, you are writing another language, but the structure is there. So it doesn't matter the language you write if you have the same structure. I can be writing Russian. If the structure is the same, it's just put a different type of text in this structure. So 30 lines, I will explain to the second trimester. Another thing, when you write your names, it happened some groups. Don't put your first name in full and abbreviate your surname. For example, João F. Actually, the information you have to give is the surname. So J. Fabrício, whatever. Ferreira, whatever. Fabrício is a name, whatever. Ferreira is surname. So J. Ferreira. So you put the first letter of your name and you put your full name, your full surname. Okay? So is this something that I assume? Oh, my difficulty was the amount of information from the artist. Kawe is saying here. Oh yeah, man, this is something you have to. For example, let's talking about a famous director or an actor. Let's see, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is a famous actor. You have a lot of information about Tom Cruise, but what I think you should do, you should focus on the information that helps you in your point of view. For example, my point of view is that Tom Cruise is a great actor. So I have to get all the information that reinforce the point of view of, I know it's a hard job because Tom Cruise don't speak that much. He's more into action movies or romantic comedy. But I would try to find the information that can help me defend the fact that I think Tom Cruise is a great actor. All right. But yes, man, that's the profile of a researcher. You get a lot of information from different sources. You crash them up, put them down, and make your own information on it. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's this. I've been studying since I went to school, right? And researching is that thing. You have to get a lot of information, but sometimes you feel a bit tired. You say, "Oh, I'm tired to do this," and but other times you feel excited to write about something or read about something. This is why I ask you to choose your artist, your director or an actor or actress, because it's something that you like. I know it's not easy to work in groups. I know, but it's a challenge too. I have, not that I have problems, but sometimes working groups, you have different levels of dedication. Some people are really into the work. Other people are more laid back. Other people say, "Oh, just give me something that I can do without thinking too much." So there's a lot of profiles. I know it's not easy. Other thing I remember now about the first trimester. Some of you get confused about the grades. So just to reinforce, the questionnaire about the artist, the director or actor or actress, it's worth 3 points. And the work itself about the director or actor is worth 7 points. So put them together, divide into 2, you have your grade. This is why the second trimester we're gonna do differently, and I'll tell you. First of all, we don't know when the first trimester will finish. We don't have this information to this moment because actually nobody knows what to do. For example, probably the classes when they come back they will have less students, so maybe divide into two. I'm not sure about, but I think anything we can do now we have to do, right? Okay, until uh, October the 7th. Yeah, yeah, it's the first idea, yeah. But at the same time, uh, no, in English, I didn't. You want in English or in Portuguese? I think better in English because I know you understand. You know? Oh, people, Matheus say here Russian. Dober večera, dober dan. E maybe Marcelo. I speak a little bit of Russian, actually. Uh, but let's see if you can get in English. And don't worry. Okay, if you have some problem to understand, you have to go into the settings of the Google. Yes, the Google Meet. You go into settings and you put set subtitles, something like that. You can get in Portuguese too. Let's just come here. Okay. All right. So let's go. Do you have any questions about the first trimester? Is there anybody that has something missing? Anyone who does not have the grades, when the normal classes come back, you have the right to redo it. So it's something that you don't need to be worried. If you cannot get you cannot use the internet, you have problems about using, you don't have data for using whatever. Everything was done when this pandemic gives a break to us, because actually, um, Luis is asking, when are you posting the grades in SIGA? Uh, is in a file named Notas Parciais Primeiro Trimestre, something like that. If you put Notas Parciais, you're going to check it. There is this document with 4 columns, right? The first column is the audio-video grade. The second one is the individual test that it was sent by SIGA by email. And then the third column is the questionnaire about the artist. And the fourth column, the third column is 3 points. And the fourth column is the group work. Is 7 points. So 7 plus 3, 10. You divide into 2 and you get your grade. But if you just tell me if you don't find it, that I can tell you what is it. So talking about the second trimester. Don't you have any questions about first trimester? Can we go on? I mean, it's a bit hot in here. This seat is weird. When it's hot, it's hotter. When it's cold, it's colder. So let's talking about the second trimester. First of all, we don't know when the first trimester will finish. We have an idea. It was said here. It's like October the 10th, they will start, but people are changing. Oh, the 10th of July. I don't think, man. Okay. Do you know why I don't think 10th of July will be the date? Because July the 30th is the vacation in the middle of the year. So we would come back in 10 of July, and we would go on vacation in 13. So to me, it sounds too rush, you know. So I think it's gonna be after, surely after July, but we don't know. Nobody knows. Oh yeah, yeah, probably, yeah, yeah, man. We're gonna have a vacation. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's the decision. Uh, because some people, they are in the pandemic times, they think they are on vacation, but we are not on vacation. So people shouldn't go to the beaches, to the places. Blumenau, I don't know if you heard, but it will um, go back to some restrictions because some people did not respect the indications for the health organization, and the rate of contamination in Blumenau is just rising because you know, everybody gonna die. Yeah, one day everybody gonna die, but they don't need to die together, all together. That's the problem. So we really, it's the uh, Sophia is asking if you're gonna study some grammar related. Oh, expression maybe. Actually, it's like that, Sophia. The grammar is already in the texts, in the productions, in the PPT presentation, because actually the third grade you were supposed to have a kind of control and understanding of the language. For example, grammar issues, grammar structures, they are more related to the first grade. But of course, if you have doubt of any grammar structure, you just tell me. But you in the third grade, the most important to me right now is make you produce texts in English, both oral and written, because you are close to leave the high school. And and I think you should think about or you should let a door open for a possible studying in another place, in another country, and for that you have to produce text in English. And another thing, I'm not that kind of teacher. I'm not too worried about a perfect grammar. I'm worried about communication. So I'm worried about because I know some people, they know a lot of rules of English language, but they cannot do a conversation. So it's like learning to play football, but don't play football. So you just know how to do it, but you don't do it. So to me, it's more important to use the language than to know the specific rules, even because in the ordinary life, people don't follow the rules. And I mean in Portuguese, in English, in Russian, in Bahasa, whatever, because communication is the most important thing. So if somebody say he don't like football, we understand what he said. We know that the grammar structure is not correct because it should be he doesn't. But we got the information. So because this is related to communicative approach. So talk, listen, write, read in action. Okay, so for the second trimester, we are supposed to have 12 classes, I guess. If you want to know the content of those classes, you have to go to the SIGA. There is a file named Notas Parciais, Primeiro Trimestre. No, 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 sorry. This is the grades. You have to go to. There's a document there. I have to remember the name of the document. Plano de atividades, okay. Oh, no, yeah, there is not as info. It's the grades, Kawi. Thank you very much. But I'm talking about the content. So the content is plano de atividades remotas. I guess é plano de atividades remotas. There's the date. June the 10th. No, June the 25th. July the 10th. Yeah. So this is the file. Okay, Pedro is saying here, hi teacher, I have a doubt. You said about the curiosities in my work that be something out of the normal. But if the guy doesn't have anything out of normal, actually, Pedro, the thing is that is not something out of normal, but it's something peculiar. For example, some people said he was married, he had 2 children. This is an information that can happen to everybody. Just a second. Maria Eduarda said, and do you have to study something that go be charged in the vestibulares? Actually, I'm trying to prepare you for more than vestibular, because to English language in vestibular is very limited. So, you're gonna need the English language mainly if you study literature and languages. But if you go to other classes, like for example, engineering, other subjects like engineering, you just need the regular English, not too technical English. But of course, I can bring some. For example, what I'm doing. Some students, they send to me the doubts. Hey teacher, I have a doubt about this structure, and I can reply about it. Because if you get, we have different types of vestibular. We have different types of. For example, I'm more focused on what a name charts from you, because NA is the more accessible way to get into university. So I try to be, because if it's too specific, I ask for the students to send me an email. I have, for example, I have some students, they send me texts for their name and ask me my opinion about this text, in Portuguese even. So, but I'm trying to do my main intention is to give you the props to produce text, written text, and oral text in English. So this is the main view. And communicative approach is like that. You have to use the language. So if you know the structures, if you know perfectly, this is another thing. The most important is to use the language. And if you know the structure, it's better. But if you don't know, you can use the way you know. All right. So what about the second trimester? We're gonna have 12 classes, according to my knowledge. First, you will have an individual test, and it will be sent to you by a Google formulary. You will have a week to reply this formulary, and will be 10 points. The first grade. The second grade is group work. Let me see if I have it here. Oh no. Second grade is a group work. The groups will be the same, right? And I'll tell you why. But okay, the second trimester, the group work, you will choose a movie to talk about. So the first trimester, you chosen an actor, actress, or director. This second trimester, you have to choose a movie to talk about. And we are gonna have a class. I will show you a move named Clockwork Orange from the 70s. Uh, okay, Kawe is asking is another of the same. Oh, you can choose, man. You can choose because in the first trimester you chosen one director or an actor. Now the movie, it doesn't need to be related to this actor or director. You can choose any movie you want, any style you want. For example, what oh, no problem, man. What are the same group, Yuri? The same group, because I'm planning to do the same group because I will talk about the third trimester, and you can start to do your work for this moment. But let's talk about the second trimester. So the group work, you're gonna get a movie. Okay, I'll give an example. I chose Clockwork Orange, and then I would do like that: 4 paragraphs, 30 lines. Uh, if you do 28 lines, 32 lines is okay. It's in the middle, but don't do 100 lines and don't do 10 lines. Okay, try to get a balance. And for example, people are talking about vestibular and then these things. This structure, 4 paragraphs, 8, 7, 9 each one, 7 line each one, is the structure for NA, some selection process for scholarship. So I'm giving you the props to produce text to get inside university related areas. Okay. Uh, okay, the first the text about the movie. The first paragraph you will talk about the director of the movie or the main character of the movie, the main actor. For example, I'm gonna say Stanley Kubrick was the director of Clockwork Orange. Um, Before this movie, he made this and that movie, and this movie was the first movie to introduce to the wider audience the work of Malcolm McDowell, the main actor in this movie. He plays the character named Alex. Alex, actually, Alex. Uh, this is the first paragraph. The second and third paragraph I will talk about the production of the movie. So I can use like the second paragraph to say the movie was filmed during October September 1972. It took like 6 months to be finished. I will talk about the development, the structure of the movie. The third paragraph I can talk about uh, the critics, about the movie, uh, the content of the movie. I can get, for example, an important scene of the movie and describe it. In the last paragraph, I will talk about the how was the movie important, not just for movie making industry, but sometimes for behavior. For example, I'm talking about Clockwork Orange. After the release of the movie talk about gangs. Uh, some gangs they were dressed as the characters of the movie, and they start to do the same bad things people did in the movie. So, uh, of course, there was also death threats to Stanley Kubrick, to Malcolm McDowell. So it was a little bit harsh. The move when it was released in the 70s, it was not shown in Brazil because Brazil was living a military dictatorship, and they didn't. The move was is too related to drugs, sex, and violence, criticizing them, but it's showing them. So I can talk about this. The movie was forbidden for the government in the 70s because it showed explicit violent scenes, sex scenes, and drug scenes. Uh, and so you can do this in 4 paragraphs. And this trimester, we're going to do differently. You will not send me a complimentary file. You do like that. You do the text about the movie. At the end of the text, you're going to put the links to the complementary file. For example, you have a PPT presentation, you put the link for the Google Drive to access it. Because one file is easier to control than two. Some groups, they didn't put the name of the file, the same name as the text. So it get confused sometimes. Some groups chosen the same artist, so it can be confused for the teacher to know who is who in this. So this is for the second trimester, okay? Do you have any question about the second trimester related to evaluation? No, Kawen just said. I think, not I think, I'm sure. The second trimester, we will talk about some traveling experiences, preparing you for a possible travel to other country. Not now. Wait, the pandemic goes away. Actually, Europe is not even welcome Brazilian people because we are in a list of non-acceptable people from some countries. United States, also Brazil, some places where the rates of the COVID-19 are too huge. In Brazil, it's like we are in bad shape in this situation because people are not taking seriously. People are going to the beaches, they're going to shopping mall. Here in Blumenau, when the shopping mall was open, everybody was there. A lot of old people were there. So people are not taking too serious this pandemic, but I think it's a shame, Mateus. Yeah. Oh yeah, neither. If the president he's not doing giving the example, people follow man. And of course, I understand human being is a social being. We need to live together with other people, but we have to chill down for a while, right? For example, we Brazilians, we love to hug people, to kiss people, and things like that. I know if I meet somebody I like, I want to hug, kiss, and so I don't meet them. So I can protect myself and protect the other people. As you can see, for example, if you see football players, they have the protocol to follow. But I watched yesterday a match, and the guy made the goal in the last minute. Of course, all the other players were hugging him, were beating his head. The protocol was going to the trash can because you cannot hold the emotion. So, me, for instance, I love football, as you know. As I sent you the project, Ludopedismo, a Ciência do Futebol Arte, and those people who want to discuss about football, just get there, okay, in the Google Classroom or send the formulary. But I think they shouldn't be back the football and the activities until it's controlled, because I think a second wave will come. So because people are getting in touch with other, and some people they don't have the symptoms, but they can pass the disease. It's a hard times we are living. Okay, so the second trimester, these two tests. The first one, individual, is 10 points. The second one's a group test about a movie, 10 points too. So in this trimester, we'll just have these two grades to not make too much confuse to people. So now we'll talk about the third trimester. And this is why I ask you to keep the same groups, because my initial idea of the third trimester, the group work. Okay, third trimester, we have the individual test and a group work. Individual test will be the same, a Google formulary. You have to fulfill the formulary in 1 week, and you have to resend to the teacher. But the group work in the third trimester, each group will write a movie script. So my initial idea was for you to record the movie. But I know the times are difficult right now. But I think you can do part of the work, that is do this movie script for a short movie. And it can have 5 to 10 pages. But I will show you, I will send to you, when we start the third trimester, I'll send to you a model of a movie script. And then you will have 5 to 10 pages to make a movie script. So first of all, you have to choose the type of movie. So the style of movie, if it's a horror movie, if it's a romantic comedy, if it's an action movie, any of them you want to do. And that's interesting, because as you are not supposed, of course, if some groups can record the movie, that's all right. But what we're gonna ask for you to do is to do the movie script. And if you want some other element to put together, you put a link in the end of the movie script. Yeah, 5 to 10 pages. But I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna send you the model for you to follow. And actually, try to do. The thing about write a movie script is that if you don't film it, you can go crazy, right? I can make a movie script about a war and 10,000 people killing each other, invade the fortress, whatever. And then I know I will not film it, so I can trip out. So you can put your imagination and creativity to work. And if you can record it, you do it. But the only thing that is demanding is the movie script, 5 to 10 pages. I will send you the model for you to follow, right? So in this third trimester, we will have 2 grades. One grade is the individual test sent by Google formulary, actually. And the second one is the movie script that the group has to develop. So do you have any questions about the third trimester? Do you have in mind some movie style you want to do? Is there any type of movie you like to write? You like to write a script for? Many ideas now. Oh yeah, Kyle. Yeah, I give you an idea. When you have many ideas, write them down get a paper, write, and then try to do, when you get in touch with your group members, of course, in touch, virtually speaking, you can do a brainstorm. So do you know what is a brainstorm? Do everybody knows what's a brainstorm? Uh, More or less, yes, yeah. Brainstorm is when you get together with some people and you have to develop an idea. Uh, and so you start to question, make questions, you start to talk about. For example, people used to do brainstorm to give names. For example, a brainstorm to give a name to a movie. So you have the movie done, all the things, and you say, okay, what's the name of the movie? And then you can do a brainstorm to get the name of the movie. You can have a brainstorm to develop a product. You can have a brainstorm to develop a record. So it's like putting ideas together and get into a place where it's a common ground for everybody, or for most of the people, because that's the sometimes the issue to work in groups. um, Sometimes people had different ideas, different ways of dealing, but in my opinion the best thing is, for example, I give an example. When you have a director, he is a kind of leader of the situation, but it doesn't mean that other people uh, cannot do their parts or cannot change some situation. Uh, and so this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna be in control of your work, your idea, but you let it open to other influences for other people. I have been, uh, I had some experience work with cinema. I was, I made a soundtrack for a movie. Uh, I was an extra in another movie, a movie named Esses Moços. I was just there, and I saw how hard work it is to record a movie. Uh, and then I said, I'm not very into that because you need to have a lot of discipline. You have to deal with people. Dealing with people, it's not easy, as you can see. As probably what you have lived into some group works. Sometimes some people in the group, they take the leadership. Other times people are laid back. They say, oh, you can do whatever you do, I'm okay. So we have different profiles of people when you work in groups. But try to choose, for example, you're gonna do this movie script. So first you have to choose the main idea. I will give an example. uh, Spike Lee. Spike Lee is a North American director. Spike Lee has a movie called Black Klansman, that he's talking about a black man infiltrate into Ku Klux Klan. And this is the idea of the movie. One sentence. So when you develop a movie, uh, okay, Camila, no problem. This class will be recorded and will be there at my YouTube page for you to watch. And for those students who could not watch today, there's no problem. Uh, so no problem, girl. So you have to do like that. You have to choose a kind of uh, an idea, a general idea of the movie, and then you start to develop. Okay, this style of the movie. Okay, it's a horror movie, and then you have to start from that. And what's the name of the movie? In my opinion, I think the name should be the last thing you put in a movie, because first you have the idea. Let's imagine. I have an idea of a movie about one like a text. Yes, yes, like a text, but the configuration is different because you need to have the names of characters, uh, voiceover. There's some technical parts of movie script that I will show you. I will show you the movie script, and then you understand how it works. But first, you have to do is to get the main idea and the style of the move. Of course, you can have a move that mixed styles. And I'll give an example. Quentin Tarantino, he used to mix action with comedy. So actually, he goes even further because he mixed violence with comedy, what people used to call dark humor. So he used to do this, So in some tense scenes, like very tense, he put some comedy on that, and it's a kind of characteristics of Quentin Tarantino's movie is to have this balance between between violence and humor, and it's kind of is his signature. So sometimes you watch a movie and you say, hey, man, this guy is copying Tarantino, because people know that Tarantino has this kind of way to deal with violence and humor at the same time. To me, it's great. I love his movies. I think he's a great director. So you're gonna do the same. So this is for the third trimester. So have an idea of a movie script and start to develop this script. So you have to think about the characters. You have to think about the uh, environment. You have to think about the situations. You have to think about the climax. So the climax is the most important part of a movie. So when this movie gonna get in the peak, in a moment that people get their attention's called. Don't worry because you're gonna have a class about a movie. I'm gonna show you a little bit about Clockwork Orange, this movie about Stanley Kubrick with Malcolm McDowell in the main character. If you find on the internet, you can watch the movie too. It's a very interesting movie because it talks about violence. It talks about recovering. So people who are connected to violence, how to disconnect. So I think it's. I watched the first time when I was almost 12 years old, and it gave a lot of thoughts in my mind because of this movie. I was too young actually to watch it because it has violence, explicit violence scenes. Not explicit sex scenes, but there are some nudity. But this is not the worst problem is the violence because it's too real. Um, and it's too shocking for us to watch that. But of course, it's a way that Kubrick used to criticize the violence for nothing, So just the young people going out in gangs and try to kill each other. So it's a criticism about that. It's not. It's like gangster rap. They are not putting violence as uh, something interesting. They are just showing violence, how it works. Okay, so this is the work for the third trimester, right? But let's do a recap what I said this class today. So I send you a feedback about the first trimester. Anyone who has a problem with the grade has to send me an email, tell me what the problem is and things like that. When you come back to normal classes, these people who could not have access to the tests, they can do later too. So it's no problem about that. I talk about the second trimester that we're going to have an individual test And also, we're going to have a group work about one movie. So you can start to choose the movie right now. You can talk to each other in the group. Oh, I have this idea, I have that idea. Em português, ok, eu faço sim. Então, primeiro trimestre, eu passei para vocês as informações relativas ao feedback. Quem tiver qualquer pendência deve entrar em contato comigo. No segundo trimestre, vocês terão 2 avaliações. Uma avaliação individual, que o conteúdo será aquilo que for passado até o momento do teste. Então, nós temos um conteúdo a ser passado. E o trabalho em grupo vai ser uma resenha sobre um filme. Então, vocês vão escolher um filme em que vocês vão resenhar. Lembrando daquela divisão de parágrafos, né? Então, no primeiro parágrafo, vocês falam um pouco sobre o diretor, sobre o ator principal. No segundo e terceiro parágrafo, você desenvolve apresenta alguma cena importante do filme. Você pode também comentar acerca das filmagens, né? E você pode, no quarto e último parágrafo, trazer uma visão mais crítica, né? Pode trazer também os prêmios que o filme ganhou, pode discutir alguma coisa, alguma peculiaridade do filme, algo que seja fora do que é esperado numa filmagem, né? Então, vocês vão fazer, esse aí vai ser uma nota e a nota individual. No terceiro trimestre, vocês terão uma prova individual também, que cobrirá os assuntos que forem passados até o momento da avaliação, e vocês terão uma segunda avaliação no terceiro trimestre, que é a criação de um roteiro de um filme. Então, como vocês vão escrever esse roteiro e provavelmente não irão filmar, então vocês podem viajar na maionese, né? Então, se quiser falar de ficção científica e tal, fazer filmagens na Lua, enfim, como não vai ser filmado, então vocês podem fazer o que der na telha de vocês, né? E aí, com a extensão de 5 a 10 páginas, mas eu vou mandar para vocês ainda a estrutura de um roteiro. Eu vou mandar um roteiro que eu tenho que eu fiz, e vocês podem... as marcações que tem no roteiro, vocês podem utilizar para fazer o roteiro de vocês. Vocês podem escolher o estilo de filme que mais apetecer vocês, né? Então, inclusive, vocês podem fazer estilos híbridos, como eu falei do Quentin Tarantino, né? Que ele mistura ele faz essa mistura de violência com humor. Então, situações de humor que normalmente não seriam... Situações de violência que normalmente não seriam vistas com um tom humorístico, né? Ele coloca sempre esse elemento, né? Que algumas pessoas sentem desconfortáveis com isso, mas eu acho bacana, porque para mim um bom filme é aquele que você assiste que não te deixa dormir, sabe? Que você fica pensando no que você assistiu, né? Eu não sou muito de assistir filme para relaxar. Para mim é bacana um filme que mexa com a cabeça, mexa com os pensamentos, né? Os conceitos que a pessoa tem, né? Para mim é essa arte que é transformadora, né? Obviamente, eu gosto de entretenimento também. Adoro comédia pastelão, né? Slapstick comedy, né? Aquelas comédias americanas bem toscas, né? Adoro, né? Mas tento conseguir um equilíbrio, né? Entre os estilos diferentes, mas eu gosto dos filmes que realmente até porque a comédia é um filme que mexe com a pessoa, porque faz você rir, gargalhar, e isso mexe positivamente com a gente. All right, people, so do you have any questions, any doubt? It's okay. All right, Pedro say no. Can you speak good girl? Cauê say here. If you have any questions, any doubts, just send an email to me, and I'll be waiting for your contact. Those ones who have problems with the grades, get in touch with me. Essa aula vai estar disponível no YouTube para aqueles os colegas de vocês que não puderam participar, vai estar o link disponível no Siga e no Google Classroom, né? E é isso então, gente, por hoje. I would like to thank you all and see you next time. Bye bye. Bye bye, people. Let's see. I think it's here. Good.